Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Live Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Ahmad, Sawyer, Caleb. How are you guys doing today?
I'm
Pretty
doing
good.
good,
Pretty good. I'm not
but
gonna lie to
also
you.
disappointed.
Uh,
Disappointed, but we'll get on that later.
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Ca- This is uh this is kind of weird, but so Caleb counted down 3, 2, 1,
Mhm.
kind of reminded me of the opening of iCarly. I was this close to singing the
If
song,
I if I
but
remembered the song, I would start it, but I
yeah,
don't remember the song
yeah,
anymore. I used
no,
to watch that show quite a bit too, and
yeah,
I don't remember that
yeah,
song
it was
anymore.
staple. But yeah, other than almost singing that song, I've been pretty good. I mean, that song is great. Don't get me wrong. The
Yeah,
song's
it would have made you feel bad to sing it though.
yeah. I
You
mean,
don't feel
because
like you would have been able to do it justice or something?
yeah,
Is that what it is?
no, no, exactly. That's what I didn't. I stopped myself because in the moment the idea of it was grand, but I knew that the second I opened my mouth, I would have to stop the podcast and we'd have to redo it. So I
It
mean,
would have we would have
now
just it would have
now
been
I'm going.
absolute chaos.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
just thought I'd share that with the listeners.
What?
Yes.
Um,
I'm so that makes me happy.
That
Um
brings up a memory. Do you Oh, what was it that I did? That we
uh people I listened to this podcast like not too long ago. What was it?
it was funny
Uh
though.
it was funny, and it was also kind of annoying even just to listen to.
was it just because like we
Um
went on like a random
I think I did
No,
random?
it
some
wasn't it
meme.
wasn't a tangent, it was right at the start of the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh, and it was like, oh, what was it?
was it just like was it a hiccup?
Oh,
I mean, we're having
McClunky.
like
What?
That's what it was. McClunky.
McClunky. I don't I
okay.
don't I
That
don't
that's
remember
from
McClunky specifically.
Sawyer knows, I think, right?
Yeah, it's from is this the fifth re-edit of A New Hope?
Yep.
Oh my god. Well,
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
remember now Greedo
They make
Apparently
Greedo
we
say
might
that.
not be talking about the same thing, because I
Oh.
I'm remembering an instance specifically where like I would open a show, and then like, oh, I remember, it was like I think it was we we had just finished lunch, we were in a hurry, and so people were like still eating
Mhm.
things and drinking, and like,
um,
and I think it was that, like, every time I would start, somebody would immediately make, like, a really obnoxious sound with their food. So, like,
yeah.
Caleb would my most vivid memory is that I started, and it had already happened a few times, and then Caleb, like, immediately takes, like, the loudest sip of a Coke you've ever heard. It's like it is it's something like that.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what I'm
something like
thinking
that.
of. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good
That
times,
Oh yeah.
good times. Pre-COVID times.
yep.
Uh, all right, so we have a little bit of a fun show for you today. We
Mhm.
have the recap of the state of play that happened just 3 hours ago, and so we're going to talk about that. Spoilers, I'm kind of glad that we didn't do a reaction for it.
Yep.
Uh, and and then we're going to talk about an interesting development in the sort of movie industry. Uh,
Oh, excuse me.
maybe a forewarning of some things to come with the idea of the movie theater even existing in the
Mm.
future. So, but let's get started with this PlayStation State of Play, their equivalent to a Nintendo Direct. And all right, I'm gonna. Gamatsu here has a list of every game, a headline for every game that was present at the presentation. So I'm gonna read off some stuff, and let me know if you want me to pause,
Yep.
uh, and we will. and we'll talk about what we want to talk about. Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. I don't think we've gotten to this game, but I'm
No.
really excited that Crash is back, even though I don't really care about Crash.
Right.
I'm happy. I'm happy that he's back. It's good to see another sort of mascot platformer be revived. Hopefully, they do the same with Spyro soon.
I was
Although Spyro was never really dead, I guess, but still,
I was
yeah,
I was really happy with seeing that in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, give Crash its spotlight. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
good job. And I was like, I saw the trailer. What was it, a month ago? It was like a week after
yeah,
the um PS5 event, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
It was legitimately like a week after
And
Activision put out the trailer.
I was like, oh, it looks cool. I still kind of have a love for like the classic games. Like if there's going to be anything, I'm going to play the remastered trilogy. And I know this is a direct sequel, but like, um, the watching it today, I was like, I was getting some nostalgic memories of. I had one Crash Bandicoot game, and then I had like the Mario Kart equivalent. On like
Crash
the
Team Racing.
yeah on the Game Boy. So that was like my Crash experience. But like I will say like from what they showed today, it was cool, and I like the changes that they're making in terms of gameplay. Although I will
Yeah, it
say
seems pretty solid.
I'm a little weirded out by the whole like filter change. Uh
Oh well, yeah. That's a. I wouldn't worry too much, just because that's like an optional mode or
right.
something like that. But I do hear what you're saying. It's a little bizarre, but I
Mm,
think there have been a bunch of games in recent history that were kind of like that, where
right.
sort of the visuals were kind of affected by the gameplay in a way that isn't that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
So but yeah, I could see some concern being levied towards it. Um, yeah, that's Crash.
Yep.
Happy he's back. Probably not going to play it unless I decide I want to at some point.
Iconic. Crash is
What?
iconic.
He is iconic.
Yeah, I just wanted to put my 2 cents. I mean, I played the game as a kid. Remember some parts being very difficult and being
Yep.
very
That's what they're
frustrating.
kind of famous for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it was super fun. But yeah, I definitely get that nostalgic feeling
Yeah.
whenever I see those trailers.
All right. Here are some ones that we're probably not going to talk about for very long. Hitman 3 being playable entirely in PlayStation VR.
Isn't it
That's
the whole
pretty cool.
trilogy? I thought it said the
It
whole
is
trilogy.
the whole trilogy. They did say the whole trilogy.
That
So
I wonder how that's
that's
gonna
pretty
work
cool.
with the previous two. Like, is it gonna be an update, or is it like a new? Is it like Borderlands 2 VR, where it's a separate game? Like what? I wish
Yeah.
they would
this is
clarify
what
that.
clicking
Yeah.
on the article is for. Let's see. As a reminder, we revealed in the Hitman 3 announcement that it will be possible to import locations that you own from the previous two Hitman games into Hitman 3. You'll need to launch locations from Hitman 3 to play them in virtual reality. Okay, so
So it's not the full trilogy. It's just
it's not the story.
okay.
I wish I knew I wish I knew anything about Hitman so I could like
Right.
understand this, but still that's pretty cool that you could basically like import the games into Hitman 3 and then play them through that. That's that's pretty cool. Braid Anniversary Edition. I remember people talking about it when it was like ported to Xbox One or something, and people were excited, I guess. People like Braid. Good for them. The Pathless, nothing really to say about that.
That
It
was
should probably have have a map, but whatever.
yeah. I was like, w- Yeah, I was very confused by that. That was just like, so we're shooting arrows at targets, and then there's like these weird demons that you can't touch in the game until
Yeah,
like you get to a certain point. It was just looks like a
just very very weird.
yeah.
Looks polished.
Yep, I will say
Art
that.
style's kind of pretty, but yeah,
And it's
very
a
weird.
PS5 title too.
Yeah, PC, PS4, and PS5.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, not unhappy about that. Spelunky 2
They didn't
launching September.
clarify
Oh,
though.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say they didn't clarify, kind of going slightly back on the Hitman thing, but this will also come up later with PlayStation VR. If that means that officially that the
Right.
headset is compatible with the PS5.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's true.
because
Details, man.
yeah, they need to provide some. That's kind of indicative of the whole showcase
Yeah,
today is details. I mean, we got a whole lot of
detailed, please.
DLC and some ports, but details is what I
Yeah.
need.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Spelunky 2 launching September 15th for PS4 and then a little later for PC. You know, never played Spelunky in my life,
Mhm.
but I've heard nothing but good things, so good for them.
Yep.
I do want to talk about Genshin Impact for a second. In part because I think it could be cool. I don't know enough
Mhm.
about the way that it works in order to make a call, but uh, but I also think it's funny that this game is very much like kind of a Breath of the Wild clone and
Yeah.
has been criticized for it, which, you know, is deserved as far as I'm concerned. But there was a really funny story about people being so angry about this that like one guy chucked a PS4 out a window and and
What?
like
Oh
I
no.
let me Genshin Impact angry people. I don't know. Angry fan smashes PS4, slams Sony's Zelda clone Genshin Impact. When MiHoYo unveiled Genshin Impact for PS4, many noted the game was inspired by Breath of the Wild. Some fans of BOTW are upset that Sony is promoting this game because of the similarities. Plus, they think it's shameless of Sony. This man smashed his PS4 at China Joy in protest.
Huh. Man.
Which
What
is
makes
like
somebody
the-
that angry about a video game like that is
about
similar
a
to another
clone.
game? Yeah,
I
like
don't understand.
Mhm.
well, it doesn't even affect anything. It's just like, oh, cool, a new game. It's kind of like another game that I like. Like,
And you know,
it's
if it's a direct clone, that means it's basically just a more of that great game.
Right. I was like, when I
Mm.
watched it, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Like, genuinely, I was like, is this like a sequel to something, or is this like its own game? It looks really good.
It's, you know, it looks polished. I have again, I have no idea about like
Right.
what it's all about. Like it's also on iOS and all of these other platforms that like I don't know how it's gonna work, but it seems cool. If it's kind of like an action RPG version of a Zelda game, hey, I'm all for that. All right, so this is the doozy of the show. Gamatsu posted an update. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So Aeon Must Die.
Oh
Neat
no.
game, neat idea.
Oh yeah.
Looks really pretty.
Yep.
The trailer pretty solid.
Gave me some Transformers vibes,
Yeah, you get some
like that
Transformers
80s type.
vibes. Yeah, you get some like uh
The graphics animation looks like that the animation, the title looks like it's like what's the one show with like the space show from the 80s. I forget, it's slipping my mind.
Flash.
But yeah, No. But
Flash
it definitely
Gordon,
does.
not Flash.
Yeah, oh yeah, Flash Gordon. Yes. Yep. That's what I was. I thought you said for some reason. But yeah, that.
Wait, really? Oh, I was right.
Yes, you were right. Yep. That's what I was. That's what I was
funny.
thinking of. Yeah, I was thinking of. Yeah, I was thinking of that. But yeah, it doesn't. It looks 80s inspired. The animation looks pretty cool though.
So, good trailer. I would say there are, of the entire show, there are probably some games that speak to my interests a little bit more. But in terms of just like a quality showcase, I think Aeon had the best trailer. Like it had the most, like the least baggage and the most reward coming out of it. And then there's a tweet from some guy that was retweeted by Limestone Games, who developed this game. Reading, all Aeon Must Die devs quit the studio this week due to crunch and lack of payments, and the trailer was outsourced to artists without contract. This trailer was created with abuse, manipulation, and theft. Find out the truth about the development of this game here. The Hopefully this link doesn't send me somewhere. Oh,
The
it's a
Dropbox
legal
link?
it's a legal document. Yeah.
Yeah.
People who have worked on every shot of this are no longer with the company holding IP rights. Some were not even paid for their work. This trailer has a pending conflict of IP, intellectual property. The real intellectual property for the game was stolen from the creators via foul play. Final reaction of the publisher to this information remains to be seen. So, I'm going to treat this as a developing story because we have heard nothing from the publisher. We know basically nothing about this aside from the tweet and the legal documents.
It's absolutely insane to me to hear that, and like also, I mean, well, it's not insane. It's not surprising. That's not surprising. What's surprising to me is how the developers, how mistreated developers are. I mean, I've read some stuff about that, and
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy to me that goes on. That
The-
that people
The
spend
fact.
hours. Sorry, yeah, I was.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
People spend hours of their life, doing something that they're passionate about, but they're manipulated. That just
Yeah. That's wild. I was just gonna say it's wild to me that companies still get away with not paying people.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of if it's their passion or not, if they did work for you and it's not a favor, then you got to pay them for it.
Right.
And the fact is that if you didn't pay them for it, that's just unethical.
Yeah, unethical. I mean, it's immoral.
Yeah, it's bad. But developing story.
Yeah.
It'd be disappointing if this game fell through the cracks just because of something like this, because it seems like a really neat idea. Yeah, unfortunate. The next game, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this, but it's Anno Mutationem, launches in December for PS4 and PC. Now, when I've had this game on my radar since it was at there was a show, I don't remember what it was called. It was the one that was voiced by Nolan North and the lady from Uncharted. What's her name?
Oh. Well, if it's
Those two.
Yeah, I
Beloved.
don't know the actresses. Yeah, Elena, the character's
Elena,
name,
yeah.
but I don't know
The trailer was
actress.
voiced by Drake and Elena. Or not the trailer. The show was sort of hosted by them.
An animated show. How recent was it, do you think?
Oh, it was right after the PS5 reveal.
Gotcha. See here.
While you're looking that up, I've had this game on my radar since then. And it's a neat it's like it's 3D, but it's all using 2D sprites, and it's like an action an action RPG. I don't know. It looks really cool. It seems like a really neat idea. And maybe this is one of the few games that can get me to fall in love with the pixelated art style again. Because
This is kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's not Last Man Floating. No,
No.
no. Never mind. I was looking through his most recent work. It's not that.
Oh no. Yeah, no. He wouldn't. It wouldn't be on his IMDb.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Because it was just like a show, or it was just
Oh.
like a presentation. It wasn't a gig in the same way.
I see.
Then we got a Bugsnax gameplay trailer. Now, I did not watch the gameplay for Bugsnax, and frankly, it looks so boring.
Bugsnax. Sounds like a 5-year-old.
Okay, do you remember in the PS5 event, Ahmad, there was one trailer that we were like, what is this game? And it
Why
was
is
like,
this Animal Crossing?
right.
Oh yeah. Is that the same one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like the one. Yeah.
That
It looks like-
trailer was interesting. It was like the one that got stuck in your head.
Yeah.
After the PS5 event, at least for me, I was like, can't get that tune out of my head.
Yeah.
But
Not again. Stuck in your head, not in a good way.
right.
Yeah.
But watching some like
It's
streamers react to that, like I got a little bit more of like an inside look into that game, because like I was watching the trailer over and over again. It looks like there's like a twist of a horror element to it. And I
Yeah.
think they tried teasing that again today, but I don't think that landed.
Huh.
I still just don't know why I should care.
Yeah.
And, like-
it's not enough to sell me or anything. I was just
Yeah. Every time I think that like I have this same problem with Monster Hunter World, where like the game could be as great as it possibly could be, but none of what I've seen of it has left me with a good impression. Like the first trailer for Monster Hunter World was at like an E3, and I was like, what is this? I don't why should I care about it? It looks kind of bad. Like, oh, okay, it's Monster Hunter, whatever, people like it. And like I have a friend who's really into Monster Hunter, and he gets kind of confused, like, wait, you think that trailer was bad? And I was like, yeah, I just don't think it was a great showing. Now, Monster Hunter isn't for me, but the point still stands. Like, you got to have a good showing, and I just think Bugsnax has been missing the mark.
Right.
Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series for PSVR, launches August 25th. Now, Sawyer, maybe you can speak to this a little bit more, because from what I understand, in the trailer, it was both the Vader Immortal and the Jedi Temple lightsaber duel
Yeah.
stuff was both. They're
So
both getting ported to PSVR.
yeah, this is actually a little bit of backstory. I talked about this on this show way
Yeah, I
back.
remember
This is
that, yeah.
probably
You've been on this
very
feed
early
for a while.
Maybe
Yeah.
not Catacast. I don't know if that far.
it was right around that, like a
Okay.
little, like close to right around that.
Yeah,
I
time.
think it would have been the Catacast actually.
Yeah.
Would be when you first talked about it.
And it was originally an Oculus exclusive for the Oculus Rift and Oculus Quest. It was announced simultaneously with the Oculus Quest. But they announced, I think this was a couple months back, they announced that it was going to get ported to PlayStation VR, but we didn't get the date until today.
Okay. I
What
didn't
was
know
that?
that. I didn't know that it wasn't on PlayStation yet. I thought it was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why it was pretty big for me today, because this is one of the I've been waiting for it to come to PlayStation, because I like my Oculus, but I have an easier time with my glasses playing with my PlayStation VR, because it's the headset's bigger, so I can fit my glasses into it. That's random, but that's kind of why I've been waiting to play it. And
That's something that maybe that's like an oversight on Oculus's part. Maybe because having
I also just have big glasses,
no, I
so
mean I
that's
feel
part of the problem.
Have you seen my sunglasses? I put those sunglasses right over my glasses and they're huge. So I feel it.
I haven't seen that. But yeah, the game, basically what's coming is, so each episode, they were released episodically on Oculus. There were 3 episodes. Each was $10, and they would come with a couple missions of the story campaign, and then what they called the Lightsaber Dojo, which is where
Huh.
you would just be like, it was like trading against endless waves of like droids or something like that.
Mhm.
So they're both coming simultaneously, but instead of it being episodically, they're releasing all, at least my understanding is, all 3 episodes at once bundled together on PlayStation.
Good.
Hmm.
Pretty
So
cool.
it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to playing it. It is canon, so I'm very interested
Yeah.
to try it. Plus,
Uh,
it gives me a reason to dust off my PlayStation VR and play something new.
Yeah.
Star Wars is really taking that approach of everything is canon.
and they really did too. They gave. I guess the canon part is the whole Mustafar backstory, but for the sake of
Yeah.
spoilers, I won't get into that. But yeah, I know a little bit about the story of Vader Immortal, but this was the first time I saw actual gameplay of it, so that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I messaged in the chat that like we're so close to a competent lightsaber sim. Like
Yeah. Right.
we're like 75% of the way
People
there.
actually, you don't actually play as Vader in this game.
Which is
Huh.
kind of weird. I thought you would
Which-
be playing as Vader.
Yeah, it's about Vader, but you don't. At least as far as I know, I haven't played it myself yet. But from what I understand, you play as some like shipwrecked guy. Like you
Mhm.
play as a new character to the universe, and Vader is what the story is about, though.
Huh. Interesting.
The neat
I know it has a
concept.
lot to do with, without spoilers, I know it has a lot to do with Mustafar.
Well, that's kind
Right.
of you put Vader in
Cool.
the name.
For Mustafar.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But I mean,
Yeah.
you put Vader in the name, you gotta make sure. I feel like
Gotta
everyone
put-
Right.
Yeah.
you gotta play as Vader. I mean, that's still cool though. I mean, that's the one thing you just mentioned it, like a lightsaber sim. That would be awesome. One-on-one battle, or because I know Sawyer, you mentioned like there's a 1v1 mode in like I'm trying to think of the one of
Well, there's a 1v1 mode in
like,
Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for PS2.
Was
yes,
there?
that's what
Okay, well,
I think that's one. Oh, actually, was that a joke?
I
No,
think
it's
Oh, okay.
actually in the
Okay.
game.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of. But that's kind of like that's where you get to play as characters. But
Well,
yeah,
there's that, and there was, in fairness, there was that one that came out. I mean, there's been kind of a versus mode in a lot of the third-person Jedi games.
uh-huh.
So like
Yeah,
Force Unleashed, Force Unleashed 2, obviously,
Mhm.
Right.
and like some of the other adaptations. And then there was that Clone Wars game for the Wii that
Oh,
was
which
also
one?
lightsaber focused.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think it was just called Clone Wars Lightsaber Duels or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah,
I had two. There was Clone Wars Republic Heroes and Clone Wars Lightsaber Duels, but I think you're
Yeah.
thinking of Lightsaber Duels.
Yeah.
Interesting. So okay, so
Uh,
that's actually something I've been playing more of recently because we have a Wii now. So I've been going
you've
back
been
and
playing
Mario.
Wii
Mo-
games?
Yes, yeah.
You gotta. I got some great Wii recommendations for
So-
Oh,
you.
so do I.
and we were just talking about it because we were playing it, and we were playing Wii Sports Resort and Wii Sports, and like there's one kind of game where you get to like you have to knock somebody off with like a little like cushion stick. I don't know
Oh
if you can,
yeah.
like knock somebody off like a little pedestal, like and there's water. And I was like, it would be cool if there was like a lightsaber version of this. So I might have to bring that by the other guys and see what they think about that, and get that game you're talking about, Clone Wars.
Lightsaber Duels.
You gotta hit us with that Clone
Right.
Wars Lightsaber Duels hot take.
Yeah, I'll wait. Is it
Oh,
is
yeah.
it is it Is it well? I mean, is it a good game, or do you know much
I mean,
about
I
it?
haven't played it since I was in elementary school, so
Yeah,
Ah,
it's been
yeah.
so long.
Yeah.
I remember thinking Republic of Heroes was fun, and then I thought that like lightsaber duels was cool, but didn't get far enough to have an opinion.
Yeah, no,
I
Right.
mean, the main difference between the two, lightsaber duels is kind of more of like it's really in the name. It's really just more of a mini game of lightsaber
Mhm.
Yeah.
duels with like
It's
multiplayer.
basically just a fighting game
Hmm.
at that
Whereas
point.
Republic Heroes is more of a traditional action adventure third person game.
Huh. Yeah, I know you guys definitely have to hit me up with some recs. I mean, that's really the
Yes.
gaming that I've been doing recently. I mean, I guess I didn't mention it because I didn't think it was worth mentioning, but I mean, gaming is gaming, so and brought
Yeah.
back.
Hey,
So,
the Wii is a great console. It just has a lot of bad games.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of good ones, but the problem is for every one good one, there's 10 bad ones.
There's 10, literally
It's
10
true.
bad ones.
yeah. Yeah, I've played Wipeout too. There's like the Wipeout, which is super
Oh
fun.
yeah, I had that one.
Yeah,
I used to
Oh,
love that show.
wait, like the game
Yeah.
show?
Yeah, like
Oh
the
yeah,
game
you
show
remember
Wipeout.
the
Yeah.
game show Wipeout?
Yeah,
Whatever
and
happened?
the physics is so funny because like they're just like I mean it's like a ragdoll physics kind
Oh
of
yeah.
thing. If you get hit by any obstacles, like sometimes people like stretch like super far. Sometimes people get like impaled. It's so funny and like it's just a fun time. But yeah, that was kind of off topic, but yeah, gotta
Yeah.
get that. I have to.
Gotta
I have
get
to
that Star Wars talk in.
yeah.
Yes. More Star Wars. All
Absolutely.
right. So I think this probably ended up being Sawyer's most hype moment of the show. The Control DLC Awe in all caps, launching late August the 27th. There I think you know what, Sawyer, just take it away. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I am so hyped. Okay, so
Oh,
I have not yet played all of Control. I own it. I have not yet played all of it because I got a little bit distracted. I started it in the fall and then I got distracted with so many other games in school and everything. But I'm gonna get to it soon so I can play this DLC
yeah.
because it's been literally a decade since we last saw Alan Wake, and he's finally coming back. Granted, it's in a DLC crossover, so I don't know how involved he's going to be, but it's more than we've gotten in the last 10
Right.
years.
Still
So
pretty
I'll
awesome.
take what I can get.
Which is hype.
Well, it was
Yeah.
like I was watching this and I was like I totally forgot Control was doing DLC. So I'm watching this, I'm like, this looks like Control, but like Control came out like last year, so there can't be another one, right? And then I saw the expansion too, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it because supposedly based off of like the name of it being AWE is kind of a dual meaning because it's meant to both be in the game. It's called an altered world event where it's like causes these weird supernatural things, but it
Mhm.
also is like double stands for Alan Wake expansion. So it's
Mm,
uh
clever.
I'm looking forward to seeing when they
Pretty
show
cool.
that last frame of Alan there in that trailer and you hear that voiceover. I had the biggest smile on my face. Like I am very excited to see. I wonder how much it's going to talk about after the like how much of it is going to actually be Alan Wake related and how much of it is just
Mhm.
going to be like Easter eggs and nods to Alan Wake just in the Control universe.
Mm.
Um, I hope that this leads to more people wanting to check out Alan Wake because now I did see uh, Remedy does own distribution rights to the original Alan Wake. They bought
Ooh.
the rights from Microsoft.
That
So
that tells me
they
they're going
could
to
re-release Alan Wake, yeah.
yeah, that tells me they have big plans for them.
Yeah,
For
and this
yeah,
could. I
Alan.
hope this could lead to an Alan Wake 2 or more crossover between Control and Alan Wake in the future. Because I agree with you, Caleb. Seeing that Remedy bought it from Microsoft, I doubt they'd give that huge of a payday
Right.
to Microsoft if they weren't going to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Now all
question.
they got to do is just cross over those two games with Quantum Break, and then I'll be extremely happy.
You have an entire
Microsoft still owns that one.
you got an entire RCU, Remedy Cinematic Universe.
Just tie in Max
At
Payne
your
somehow, and we
disposal.
got everything there.
Yes. The Avengers of Remedy games, I guess.
This is also a bit of a side note, but we never mentioned this during. I think it came out during the Xbox show. We just never really mentioned it. Of Remedy, speaking of them, is developing the single player campaign for Crossfire X.
Oh, that's
I was not
right.
aware of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the campaign actually looks pretty great. You might consider getting it just so I can play Remedy's campaign, because I have no interest in that, like a Chinese multiplayer online shooter, but a campaign developed by Remedy I definitely have interest in. So it's a weird pairing of having a primarily Chinese online multiplayer shooter have a campaign from Remedy. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really seem right, but yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who
Hey.
I've persuaded into being a Remedy fanboy like myself.
Remedy,
Keep your eyes on Crossfire X.
do it, you cowards. All right. We're down to the last few here. Auto Chess coming to PS4 on October 23rd, or not, October 31st. Who's excited?
What was that?
Auto
Exactly.
Chess.
I can't remember. Genuinely, I can't remember that one. What was that one?
Auto Chess. Oh, it was the one that was like a bunch of like League of Legends looking guys standing around, and then
Are you excited for it?
nothing happening.
Oh yes,
I don't know what auto.
that's right. I remember. Yeah.
I
These are
don't
like
know
this-
what auto chess is, but
I was
but
like,
I don't know about you guys, but I'm hyped for that.
I
Right?
was.
you know what, Ahmad, do you have the knowledge you can bestow me with, so I can understand why this would be worth even putting in a presentation like this?
Dude, first of all, I love chess. Wait, what the heck is this? Sorry, I'm just looking at pictures.
Wait,
No.
are you looking up pictures of auto chess?
Yeah, I'm just trying to hop on board, but I don't know. This is whoa
Now I'm
my
just waiting for
god!
auto checkers.
This actually kind of looks awesome. Hold on. No, I don't know. A Dota auto chess thing? What the heck? Interesting.
Dota Auto Chess is pretty much what I think the pitch meeting was for this game.
I legitimately just don't know what's going on with that. I thought we were over the auto chess thing. It was like the biggest fad for a month, and then it vanished.
Yeah.
It was like the Avatar.
Yeah. Done.
All right. That's that was a bad joke. All right. 2.5D side-scrolling puzzle platformer The Pedestrian coming to PS4 in January 2021. Neat idea, but we're all kind of over the stick figure thing by this point, so too little, too late.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't interest me at all. Like those two
It's
trailers.
It's 10 years too late, man.
Yeah.
Back
that was
to
the
10
back.
years too late.
Was having those two back to back was like really dampening the spirits. I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, this is getting very sour.
Yes. Focus Home Interactive and Sumo Digital announced Hood, Outlaws, and Legends for PS5, Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Neat cinematic trailer, bro. I don't know. There aren't that many Robin Hood games, so like this could be kind of interesting. But I guess when I'm thinking of Robin Hood, I'm thinking
I was a little
like,
intrigued.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying I was a little intrigued from the outset that I thought it was going to be a new game series. So I was a little bit like, oh, okay, but then I realized like, oh wait, never mind.
It's not.
Right.
Yeah. It's very much like it could be cool. Probably not going to play it.
Yeah. Nothing
Um,
convinced me there.
Yeah. Temtem adds PS5 and Xbox Series X versions, drops PS4 and Xbox One versions. So, did any of you guys hear about Temtem back
Yeah.
in like November of last year?
No.
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 Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
So Temtem, after Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, Temtem is a Pokemon clone.
That's what I was
And
like. This looks like Pokemon.
Yeah,
Oh, it
which
looks
it's
exactly.
very clearly meant to be Pokemon. And everybody was kind of like, "Ooh, the next Pokemon rival is here," and a lot of people are underwhelmed with Sword and Shield and haven't been happy with the series, the Pokemon series, for the past 10 years or so, which is a reasonable thing to feel. But it's hard to make a franchise as popular as Pokemon. In fact, it's probably just not going to happen. However, this is Temtem's time because Pokemon is basically absent right now. Like they're just off doing their own thing. And if they can chew up a bunch of screen time from Pokemon, then by all means. So like that's all I really care about with Temtem is like I'm interested to see what it does if it does anything. But
So it looks like it's essentially like an MMO type.
yeah, it's like a
Mhm.
Pokemon MMO, which is fine. It's a good idea. They should have done it years ago. The Nintendo data mine leaks or whatever suggest that they were planning to and then scrapped it. But yeah, like I would say that like Temtem is going to need to keep up some momentum in order to do what it's trying to do, which is kind of like a lot of people are beaconing it as like the herald of Pokemon's demise, which is not going to happen,
Right.
but in order for it to have some success, it is going to need to keep up some momentum.
Right. I think
More
it's so.
trailers, please.
I think it's always fresh to have competition rivals. That I think that
Yeah.
helps boost storytelling in a way. So, if we can get a good competition going, I think I don't want I don't follow Pokemon that much, but I think that could, from what you tell me, that could like legitimately reinvigorate the Pokemon franchise because there's that competition and the need
Yeah.
to the need to keep your fans and stuff, and that
Right.
I think that's
Yeah.
fresh. It's good.
Yeah. That's good. It's good to have competition. All right. Last game of the presentation, and then we'll get to our last news story. Godfall. Uh, we reacted to this at the Game Awards this past December, and because it was a shiny new PS5 next gen game, we were like, "Ooh, what is
Right.
this? Godfall? What could this be?" And then turned out it was a Gearbox looter hack and slash.
Emphasis
Which,
on the hack.
yeah. And uh we got some more gameplay from it, and and I guess it's a PS5 like PS5 PC exclusive. And it's going to be on the Epic Games Store, which I guess is important
Well,
to mention.
is it under Unreal Engine?
Uh,
That's probably why Epic is featured.
I have no idea.
I didn't
Yeah,
say
like
But
I think
Unreal.
like looking at this game, my saga of excitement for this game is almost tragic. Like
it's so tragic.
like I saw
It's
this at
so
the Game
tragic.
Awards and I was like, "Oh, I'm keeping my eye on that. This is probably
Yeah.
going to be my day one launch title pickup." And
Yeah.
then we get come to today where any interest that I had in this game is basically gone. Which is
Mhm.
I hate to say, but I the gameplay looks fun. Like I do enjoy hack and slash
Mhm.
games. It kind of reminds me a little
Oh
bit of
yeah.
God of War or Warframe. But then the words like, oh, it's a progressive online like live service game. It's just
Mhm.
I don't know. There's no story to it. It's just constant and the words looter shooter are scary to me. Now I know this isn't a shooter game, but like it's just they're just endless time and money suckers. They're not
Yeah,
to
like
me what
Fortnite.
I like to play. Like I mean, they have their fans, and I'm sure they're good
Mhm.
or well made games, but
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
Warframe, Destiny, stuff like that, where they're just
Yeah.
10-year long experiences that don't really have a narrative payoff. I don't really have a reason to put all that
Right.
time into it. Aside from maybe Destiny, because I know there is technically story expansions there, but
Mm.
Yeah.
this doesn't really, you haven't even really give me a reason aside from, oh, there's a bunch of looting you can do and it's gonna, like, it just looks boring. I guess that's all I
Right.
can say. Visually, it looks great. I will say visually it looks good, but other
I
than the visuals, there really isn't anything to it.
the um the the fighting mechanics seem fine too. It's just
Oh yeah, like in the game itself, like gameplay and
Mhm.
visuals, that's just the whole gameplay loop seems kind
Right.
of played out by this point. There, because there's already, I mean, this looks just like fantasy Warframe without guns.
Well, would you like when you say like storyless, would you count so you mentioned like Warframe, would you say like Apex Legends or like is it like kind of like an Apex Legends
Kind of
thing?
like that.
Or, so like
Very
it's
much like, yeah, kind of like that. Like different genre than Apex, but much
Mhm.
kind of like Apex in the fact that it's
just endless.
not a game where you start, you play it, and then it ends. It's one of those games that is perpetually
Right.
always going. It's just it's always there.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
really no
Yeah, it's not
end.
It's an
right.
MMO without the second M
And
or
like you
the
mentioned,
first M.
yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, like you mentioned, it's not like there's nothing. It's not like there's anything wrong with that. You know, it just has its own kind of audience or own kind of
Yeah,
game players.
Yeah.
yeah. Like it's it looks like it's a well made game. It's just not for me.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
looks pretty.
So,
So I guess I'll stick with Miles
unfortunate.
Morales
I
for my
was
day one game then.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I was saying that it just feels like basically everybody is going to be in the same shoes. Like if you're choosing between Miles Morales and Godfall, you're going to go with Miles
Oh
Morales.
yeah. Hands
Like
down.
there's no
There
equivalent
right.
there. And even if you are choosing between even if you aren't choosing between them, I
right.
don't feel particularly like I want to get Godfall. And this is coming from somebody who really likes the hack and slash genre.
Mhm.
And like um I worry, and it's kind of the same thing with like Avengers and all these other games, that like I worry that uh Godfall in particular feels like it's getting sent out to die, because it's just like they've got some neat ideas, and it should be given a fair shot, but it just doesn't seem like the right things are coming together for that game to be good at all. And like again, are you gonna buy Godfall over Halo? Or I guess not Halo. Well, but if you're getting it on PC, are you gonna buy Godfall over Halo? Probably not,
No.
right? Like if you're choosing between them on PC, probably not. So yeah, it's sad. All right.
And if
Last,
you're on PC, you might as well play Warframe.
yeah, exactly. Might
Right.
as well just play Warframe. Which I don't know anything about, but seems interesting. All right, let's talk about Mulan. Uh, Not the movie itself. Trailers are good.
Mhm.
Seems like it'll be a fine adaptation of the original movie.
Yeah.
whatever that ends up meaning, honestly, because it
Hmm.
seems like they're going for a more like semi. I don't know. I have too many thoughts about it. So the news came out is either yesterday or the day before that Mulan was getting released onto Disney Plus instead of releasing in theaters for $29.99 for Disney Plus subscribers only. And it's sort of a buy it, you own it sort of deal.
Wait, is
Which
that it's not a rental, it's ownership?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That clarifies things for me more.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not. Yeah, no, it's not a $29.99 ownership, or it's not a $29.99 rental. That would be annoying.
Okay.
Although there have been like
Oh, okay.
Amazon Prime, like release some of those in theater movie or
Right.
in home movies that are like rent. You pay like $19
Yep.
just to rent it for a day or 2 days, whatever. Which if you're a family of 5, you're saving money instead of having to go to the movie
Right.
theater. But if you're one
Yeah.
person, if you're one person
I
trying to
have
watch,
a lot to say about all this.
so like
Yeah.
try to watch Invisible Man when it came out on Amazon Prime, and just $20 is too much. So I still haven't seen it. So I don't know
Yeah, I agree.
and it's sorry. I know you have some things to say, but I was gonna say,
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
yeah, I was just gonna say that, it sucks because Mulan was one of the movies this year, and
Right.
the few movies that are gonna come out, that I was actually looking forward to seeing in theaters because it just looks like one of those movies to watch in theaters and kind of get the entire experience on the full screen.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate for me, but yeah.
Oh man, I have I could write a whole legitimately. I could write a whole paper on this,
On,
legitimately
on the
8 to
on the
10
situation,
pages. Yeah.
on the okay, the whole like
Just the
movie.
whole idea of putting Mulan on Disney Plus
Yeah.
for
I
the
mean,
price it's asking, just what it means during this time, and it's just like, I'm
on
against
the
it.
yeah, and like in a weird way, it kind of makes sense because maybe they might make more money, and they
Right.
might lose money if they put it in theaters. Less people might show up, but yeah, yeah, that sucks.
Well, the thing is, they're using this as a test,
Hmm.
and because it's $30, you'll already are going to have people that are going to be like, oh, like we said, $30 is way too much for, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
right.
they when in all reality, I wouldn't be surprised if they give that like a 9-month cycle before the idea of like it comes out in theaters and then 9 months later it's on DVD. They give like a 9-month cycle, release it on
Hmm.
DVD, and then the $30 price is gone. So like especially that, some people are going to be like, oh, I'll wait it out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the the idea of having Mulan, obviously we're all desperate. We're all desperate for new movie content out there right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, the idea of not having theaters has definitely been a big bummer, and but this is in as opposed to already movies that have come out between Scoob, the Invisible Man, uh, 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 uh,
There were some other.
Trolls.
Oh yeah,
Trolls. Yeah.
Yeah. There have been a few that were just like, you know what, we're just gonna skip the
Right.
whole ship.
And
that one movie that looked like you should have like a Spy Kids.
oh,
Oh,
Artemis
Artemis
Fowl.
Fowl.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
All
yeah.
of that legitimately made sense to release.
Oh yeah, that one did. I mean, like I wouldn't have gone to see that regardless.
Right.
It's just one of
Was anybody gonna go see Artemis Fowl?
probably
No.
not. I mean, it's a
I
good thing they did.
wasn't. I mean, there
Not
might have
after
been
those reviews, am I
it.
right?
Honestly, if there was no COVID and it's like a normal summer, that I might have been like, you know what, I'll go see it just to see a movie type of thing. But like,
Well, and yeah, sometimes you gotta pass
right,
the time or whatever. Yeah, I can
but
see that.
yeah, I didn't see myself seeing that movie. But you know, when it came to Mulan, for one, because they're using this at a test at what I would argue is kind of an insane price for already paying a subscription for. Um, I feel like the film is not getting released the way it's intended in general. You know,
Yeah,
to make this a cinematic live action experience. You know, as opposed to like an animated movie. No, no disregards to an animated movie because I love animated movies. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know I talk about animated movies all the time, but you know, just I felt like having this being a test definitely like
yeah,
it throws Mulan essentially out into this unknown uncharted territory, and Disney's using it as a way to test if they could put more out there and if this is like a different market, like a new market to invigorate. And well, in some cases, you know, I get that you need to, you know, make up for lost revenue. I just don't think that it's worth to cost your movie theater revenue down the line of like, oh, so this could, meaning it could set a precedent of like, oh, let's release our Marvel movie in the theaters while also putting it on our like premium subscription, you know, of, you know, like a $30 fee at home if you wanted to do that. It dies out a lot of the theater market, I think. And as already theaters are definitely struggling within these past 7 months, you know, they like a lot of them are like AMC was on the verge of bankruptcy, but they got saved to the end of the year type of thing, you know, and it's
yeah.
like, you know, obviously theaters aren't open and
And they're probably not going to be open for a while.
right. And
At least
rightly
not in the
so.
U.S.
Rightly so, it makes sense. But because of that, that has an extreme effect. But if you release
Yeah,
all their big titles, there's going to be no incentive to keep the theater industry uh, going once everything returns back to normal because you know they're already having financial troubles, and between losing all that lost revenue, it's going to be huge, I think, and it's going to be really
Yeah,
effective.
I don't like the precedent it's setting for streaming services. Like
Right.
it's gonna hurt theaters, but the idea, like I'm looking at the Verge's article on this right now. So according to them, it says it'll premiere exclusively on Disney Plus. The film will cost an additional $30 on top of it. When you will own it as long as they are Disney Plus subscribers, which
Right.
basically to me says that you'll pay the $30 to essentially own it, but then it's kind of like PS Plus games or Xbox Live
Hmm.
Gold games, you only get access to it so long as you're a subscriber,
Right.
which is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, I know Disney's trying to push traffic to Disney Plus, but I prefer the idea of they put it up like Warner did with Scoob, where it
Right.
was available to rent on VOD services, but if you didn't want to buy it outright, you could get HBO Max and it was on there.
Yep.
Disney is essentially saying, no, if you're gonna buy this movie, you gotta buy it on our streaming service on top of the monthly fee.
Yeah.
And if you unsubscribe, you no longer get to keep the movie that you rightfully bought and own.
is
That's
that
ridiculous
true?
to me.
Do you lose the movie if you buy it, or
I
if
would
you
assume
unsubscribe?
I would assume
From
so.
what I'm reading from this, because if you're buying it on that platform, you no longer are even able to enter the platform.
Right.
So
Yeah,
the only thing I can see them maybe doing is it works as a digital copy. So maybe you buy it and like I know Disney now owns that Movies Anywhere app. Maybe a digital version of that also makes its way over to that app.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was I was
sure if
kind of
that
I was
works.
kind of assuming that it was kind of like Disney Plus is moving into a sort of iTunes
Hmm.
uh sort of space where they kind of own a storefront that is kind of
Yeah,
included in the streaming service, like kind of like how Costco, like you pay a subscription in
and then
order to
you still have to,
enter the
yeah.
store, but like you still buy the
Right.
stuff. Like if you like my dad has bought so many things from Costco that if they tried to take it from him after he subscribed to Costco, they wouldn't be able to because we've used it up already.
Yeah. But
Right.
um and
I think
like
the
and like
idea,
for digital content, it's a little different because it's easier to block access to something. But I kind of assume uh that I would hope that Disney isn't so scummy as to try to get away with like subscription, like a Costco thing where you don't end up being able to access it if
Mhm.
you don't subscribe. Like that
I
that
don't
seems
like how
anti-consumer.
it does seem anti-consumer, and I also don't like how this. I mean, from a preservation standpoint, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what happens if eventually Disney, I mean, obviously being one of the biggest, studios on the planet, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But say
Right.
Disney, I mean, Disney has shut down products that were successful in the past. Say they
True.
shut down Disney Plus, or they put movies on Hulu because they own Hulu now too. Say they decide eventually, now we're going to shut down Hulu and move all of our stuff to Disney Plus. What happens to all of that content on there?
Mm,
Yeah.
It's
good point.
I don't like the idea of, especially for Disney Plus. I mean, if you really look in the fine print, I'm sure it's technically, as with most digital purchases, that you don't technically 100% own it. You're
Hmm.
essentially licensing it. But I I don't like the idea of a $30 purchase on top of a subscription service that you may no longer ever even have access to. Now,
Hmm.
if it is like how Disney has been saying, where you can split access to that, and this digital version of Mulan is also available in the Movies Anywhere app, and by extension, you can also use like link that. The way that app works is you can link all your other movie digital copy services together. So all the stuff you bought on Fandango will be on Amazon. You bought on Prime Video works on Movies Anywhere and all that. I just I am baffled that Disney is doing this, and I really hope this doesn't set a precedent for all movies. Because if Disney Plus is meant to be the Disney movie hub,
Hmm.
like what's going to happen in a couple months when Mulan is theoretically out of what would have been its theatrical window?
Right.
Do they just like drop the price and say now it's available to all Disney Plus subscribers,
I
or does
think
every
the
Disney Plus
idea is that
subscriber?
it just doesn't come out in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
You think
I
theaters are going to stand for this? Probably not.
well, it theaters are gonna. This is gonna change the like as COVID has done already. This is gonna completely change the cinema
Mm.
industry. With I
Yeah.
mean now especially with I don't we didn't talk about this, but with Universal and AMC
Yep.
making that deal so that the theatrical window shrinks to like 17 days or something
Mm.
like that.
I mean,
It's
this
just
is
wild.
this is as monumental as the advent of television. And like I just think that um, back in like the 50s. But I just
Oh
think
yeah.
that um, I agree, and like you're bringing up these points that I really didn't consider, and now that I mean now that I'm thinking about it, it could go either way. I mean, historically, movie theaters can find a way to differentiate themselves from streaming services. Why should I go to this movie theater? When I could just stay at home and watch this on my
Right.
streaming service.
Well,
So it might that's and that in some respects that could be an exciting thing because maybe theaters try different things.
Hmm.
But it could also mean um, I don't know if I necessarily believe, and maybe this is just me not wanting to believe that movie theaters will become obsolete.
Right.
I don't know if I'm just maybe just ignorant to that. But like that might be a possibility, but I don't think that'll happen. It's very unlikely. I think that people will still want to go to movie theaters. But like you said, it's going to change things. It's going to change things. I mean, if things weren't beginning to shift before COVID,
They certainly are now.
they certainly are now with yeah. So you definitely have a good point, and there's a lot of uncertain things. I mean,
Yeah.
with everything, but with this specifically, it could either be a good thing or bad thing. But
I can see theaters kind of going the way of kind of like the way drive-ins did once multiplexes kind of started in the 70s and 80s.
right,
Theaters kind of becoming a niche like art house cinema
Right.
type thing where only people or film people like ourselves would go and see it, but a majority of people will just get it on their Apple TV or their Roku or whatever service they're using.
Right.
right,
Um, but the other
yeah,
thing a lot of people aren't talking about, this is literally vertical integration.
hmm
Just like how the Paramount decree in 1948, Supreme Court outlawed that, like in
yeah,
1948.
yeah. You mentioned it.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Yeah, I
the
was like, this literally is vertical integration.
yeah. Seriously,
Yeah.
I mean,
which is a problem, and yeah, like you said, was outlawed. I will say,
Decades ago.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would hope that this is not setting a horrible precedent where vertical integration is re-institutionalized, so to speak.
I mean, it's crazy because I feel like these things like this. That's one of the reasons why I love history. I mean, I love. I know a lot of people bashed on film history, like the class here, like the class that they teach at BGSU, the film studies classes. And I could see, it's not like I'm saying that people don't, but me personally, I like those classes, and it's because you really see what's going on currently in entertainment. You see that you see the history reflect what's going on right now, and it's just different. It's just a different
Yeah.
different kind of a different mode of entertainment, but it's essentially the same issue or issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I love those classes too. I mean, most of them anyway. I think
Yeah,
it's really taught me a lot about perspective for now, like in the early film history classes I took, learning about vertical integration with Paramount in the 40s and then seeing this happen with Disney Plus in 2020 is baffling.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seriously.
especially like again on the Verge's article, they put half of the industry's total 42.5 billion box office last year came from the three studios, which were let me see here. I think it was Disney, Warner, and Universal
Yep.
made up half of the industry's revenue. All three of them have their own streaming services, or at least Universal is I'm sure getting into making one.
That's
If
crazy.
they don't have, oh yeah, Peacock is NBC Universal.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, all three of them, and Disney Plus and HBO Max. So
Yeah.
I can see now, especially with Universal making that deal with AMC, all of
Yeah.
their mid-budget films will just go in there within 17 days. Blu-ray's probably out around that if they even still release those for their films. It'll be I don't like anything about this. I was okay with stuff like Scoob
Invisible.
coming out
Right.
on that, but I also didn't like how, and I'm sure this is a theatrical window dispute. If they're putting them up to rent at $20, they should already have them up for purchase for the same price. Like I thought that was
Right.
dumb when, say for example, The King of Staten Island came out. My brother
Right.
was gonna watch it, but you could only rent it for $20, and the rental only lasts for 2 days, rather than say if you just bought it outright for the same price. It's ridiculous, and I'm sure it's because the theatrical window that technically counts as its theatrical window, so you couldn't buy it until probably like 70 days later or something like that.
Something.
But
Right.
it's just now that Universal is shrinking it, you might well very much see HBO Max having a debut of Fast 9, and then simultaneously with theaters, it's going to be these services like Walmart's Vudu or the purchase options on Amazon Prime Video are going to be in trouble if all of these other major distributors say,
Right.
no, you can only buy it on our streaming service.
which is
Oh
a
yeah.
problem.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah.
And I will say this is kind of an issue that affects all of digital media, not just movies, because like music has this problem too. I mean, you think about games and the fact that publishers own their own storefronts, right? Like
Yeah.
True. It's a
like
good
this
point.
is
Well,
this is not like, I think ideally, right, we would have kind of a publicly owned storefront where digital stuff gets managed and whatever, and like you can purchase it and therefore you just kind of have the digital copy of it. But the way things work right now, that's just not the case. So like this is what we're talking about here is very much kind of a opening the door to a lot more widespread issues within, again, not just movies, although movies make up a very large portion of this, but digital content as a whole, because it's all sort of it's all the publishers and distributors sort of owning what they're distributing, which is not good.
well, and part of the problem, especially with these studios, I mean, this is also going to be big for television as well, because a lot of the same studios own both.
Mhm.
But I think part of the problem is there is no precedent for any of this. Like, it's the current FCC and Supreme Court and whoever else is in charge of this stuff clearly either doesn't understand it or doesn't see it as a priority, or they're also, not to get political, but probably so in bed with all the other studios that they're not
Yeah.
going to look into it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's
Oh, you want to talk
I-
about corporatism within Washington? I'll shut up.
well, I don't know what it's gonna take, and I know there's no precedent for any of it, but this is getting dangerous, and FCC and Supreme Court need to look into this, because if it becomes a time where Disney just decides to say, no, none of our content's going on anything else, snatch it all up, and you can only watch any of it on Disney Plus, which can just go away just immediately if they said to. If the internet goes down or you decide to stop paying, you lose every single Disney film. I miss the days of being able to just go into Walmart, buy the disc of my favorite movie, and just watch it on repeat without having to worry about an internet connection, my license, if when the renewal date was. It was just buy it and play it.
Well, it's
And
like
I know the internet's changing that, but at least still, I wish Disney and other studios would give people options. I don't like being forced into saying, you have to watch this movie this way on this service. There is no other choice. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Nope.
Any other thoughts and opinions on the news this time around?
Nope. That's it for me.
And pretty much vented everything I had out on this.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate.
It's a big deal. Yeah. All right, let's get into topics. We're at sort of the hour and a half mark, so I would ask, don't go too long, but don't hold back your opinions either. I want to get the juicy stuff. So
speaking of juicy stuff, Shia LaBeouf.
Ahmad, yes, tell us about what you've been watching.
Yeah, so just thought I'd slide in.
Heck of a transition there.
Yeah. That was my opportunity to attack. I was gonna say Shia LaBeouf.
He's made quite the comeback.
He has. Not gonna lie to you, I really wasn't a huge fan of Shia. I mean, I liked him in the Transformers movies, sure, but I haven't even really seen all of the Transformer movies, and I don't want to. I don't have any intention of doing that. So, and as you know, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. I mean, Holes was really the biggest thing that I kind of remembered him from. And of course, he had his like, he went through a phase. I'll just keep it at that. But I saw Honey Boy. That was my number 2 favorite film last year, 2019. And absolutely loved it. I thought he deserved. I mean, last year was a very tough year, but I thought he deserved some kind of recognition for that.
Oh yeah.
But so he came out with 2 films. He came out with Honey Boy and he came out with Peanut Butter Falcon, which is the movie that I'm going to talk about very briefly. Once again, I loved his performance in Honey Boy. It completely blew me away. But once again, Shia LaBeouf does not phone it in for this. He's absolutely he's amazing. I love his acting. It's definitely a film that I feel like I mean I feel bad for missing it last year, but I finally got to it. But his performance in this film is very amazing. It's a very heartfelt film. I don't want to get too into it, and for spoiling it. But yeah, he plays a pretty vital role in this film, and he's I was gonna say he's I was thinking of a film he's coming out. He's coming out in next year. I don't know if it's coming out next year or not, but
So
he's been on the come up. Oh, what? Sorry,
Yep.
So you're talking about The Tax Collector, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
You just watched The Peanut Butter Falcon. He's in The Tax Collector, which like just came out or something.
Okay.
And then he's in Pieces of a Woman, which is coming out this year. And then Don't Worry, Darling is a movie.
Yeah. So he's come back.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the comeback.
Yeah.
And I love the film. It's absolutely heartfelt. It's great. Nice heart warmer. I'm gonna move on to. I would recommend checking it out. If you haven't checked out Honey Boy, I would really honestly recommend checking it out, and I would recommend checking out this film.
Yeah.
Moving on quickly. So Christopher Nolan. So Tenet was one of the movies that got postponed. Probably going to get postponed even more. It was supposed to come out like July 30th, a couple months ago. Now it's September 10th or something, and it might get postponed even more. But so Tenet was, I had to get my Christopher Nolan fix somehow.
Yeah.
I thought I would have seen Tenet by now, but I haven't. So what I ended up doing was I rewatched Memento, which Memento is his second film, second feature film, and you could really see Christopher Nolan like start to develop some of the skills that he would really perfect later on in his career with movies like Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy, Prestige. A lot of people, when it comes to Interstellar, a lot of people think that he kind of went a little too far with being, this existential, like magnificent kind of the concept films that he came out with. A lot of people think that Interstellar kind of went a little too far for people to kind of grasp or comprehend. Some of those ideas were a little far fetched. But yeah, saw Memento, and he's really playing with story structure. He's really with like this, taking the audience members on like twists and turns. Something that Nolan is known for. The next movie that I rewatched is Insomnia. I think he made this film directly after Memento, and in this film he got a bigger budget. Memento was like a little. You could tell Memento was kind of still. He was still kind of getting known. One thing I forgot to mention about Memento is I forgot the actor's name.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce is somebody who I haven't really seen much, other than like Iron Man 3, which I loved him in Iron Man 3.
Right.
And in this film, I haven't really seen anything else. I know he's in what's it called? Something Connection. But he's in some other films that I'd like to check out. But I liked his performance in Memento, and I like him as an actor too.
I liked him in Lockout too.
Yeah, that's the other film that I actually forgot. I've actually seen that one. I've only seen it once. And that was a good sci-fi film. I think we talked about it last time, briefly.
It was a couple podcasts ago, I
Yeah.
think, but we
Uh,
I think that was one of my many rambled off Letterboxd ones.
yeah, yeah. Um, that was a great film. I remember renting that from Blockbuster back when it was still open. Rest in peace. But yeah, I mean, and guys, feel free to talk about any of these films. But so yeah, Insomnia is great. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm kind of fast, like maybe 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, just
but yeah, I could talk fast. I could talk fast. Um, yeah, so Insomnia is crazy because he has a bigger budget. He's establishing his himself in the film industry, and he's working with bigger stars. So in this film, he's working with Al. I don't know if any of you have seen this film, but he's
I
working
haven't
with.
seen it.
Okay, you haven't.
I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah,
Okay,
there's
sorry, you're good.
there's 3 Nolan titles I haven't seen that I need to get to.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen Insomnia. Have you seen Prestige?
No,
No, and then Memento or
no, those are the
Bomb.
three.
I've seen Memento.
You've seen Memento, okay.
I I know about Memento though.
Yeah,
I
Memento is, yeah. Do you know a gimmick?
I think Memento is like kind of if you're a filmmaker is
Right.
kind of like an essential filmmaker movie just because it like
Yeah,
it's very much sort of you watch it and you learn a lot of the craft just by watching the
Right.
way that you're able to piece together the story based on how
Right.
it's told. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's
I would say
yeah,
highly
yeah,
recommend.
right, right. And it's funny because like I remember the first time seeing that film, and I was kind of in awe because the story is really simple when you think about it, and the
Right.
gimmick
Yeah.
is the fact that it's kind of playing backwards. But I remember watching a video of Chris Nolan trying to explain like like multiple plot lines and like the structure of the story, and I sort of got like my brain almost exploded. It was like he was describing like
I've seen that video.
black hole theory. Yeah, have you seen that
Yeah,
video?
You've seen that video in the Honest trailer at
Yeah.
least. In the
That video
Nolan
was like,
Honest
yeah,
trailer.
I mean, it was straight up like he was in one of his movies describing Inception or like the black hole theory or something. It was just crazy,
Yeah.
but yeah, he described the story, but like when I rewatched it, after a couple of years, the story is a little more. I mean, it wasn't like it was incomprehensible before, but he was definitely kind of exploring the limits
Right.
or exploring what he could do with the story narrative. But with Insomnia, so he's working with Al Pacino, and he's working with Robin Williams. Robin Williams in this film, he plays the antagonist. He plays Al Pacino's like the detective that comes in from L.A. He goes to Alaska to try to figure out this murder that recently happened. And Robin, I actually don't want to. I feel like bad. I just spoiled the film. Well, it's not really a spoiler. It really isn't. There's other things in the film that occur, but Robin Williams is in the film, and Al Pacino's the detective. Robin Williams delivers an amazing performance. This is another film that he's in where he is not in a comical role, which I love when actors do. I think I've already
Oh, yeah.
talked about that to you guys, but when comedians or people who aren't necessarily who are known for one thing try something else.
Oh yeah.
That I love when that happens.
Me too.
Yeah, and that happens in this movie. And Robin Williams, without saying, I've already kind of been treading on some thin ice, but without saying too much, he does a fantastic job. And then I rewatched Inception. We talked about that. We've talked about that a lot on
Oh
this
yeah.
on the podcast. But what's been what we've already said everything that needs to
Yeah.
be said.
Everything we've already said stands.
Yeah. So what do you want to
I will say when Ezra and I rewatched it recently, we talked about um we talked about how crazy it would hear to like hear the music and like modern day experiences of like imagine just graduating and then you hear the music and then you're like, crap, it's a dream.
Yeah, no.
You just
Oh
go,
God. Just wake up. Immediately pull out my totem and which I don't know what that would be.
Right.
Yeah, do
I
check
don't
check
know.
check if I'm in reality.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, 2020 has felt like a dream. If 2020 felt like
It's true.
I should like really kind of like try to like spin my eye drops bottle here, see if it falls. No, but no, no, it's a great film. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
everything that's been said about it. But I was gonna say it's actually cool because I don't even know if this is still gonna happen, but apparently it's gonna be re-released in IMAX in theaters.
That was the plan.
Yes, that was the plan.
I wanted to go see it in theaters,
Yeah.
and now that's not happening.
Instead, we watched it on Fortnite.
Yeah, we watched it
Oh.
inside Fortnite.
Oh wait, so it's not happening anymore?
I don't
Oh
think
no,
Oh,
so
I don't
well,
know
the
about
date for
IMAX.
it has already passed.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it got moved up or shifted because I think it got shifted.
Anniversary.
But I was just thinking about how awesome it would be to rewatch that movie. Because I didn't see it in theaters when it came out, so.
Yeah, I would love to go see that movie in
and
theaters.
especially in IMAX, that would be awesome.
Inception 10th anniversary re-release. This was. Oh wait, what? Inception re-release.
Because I think it was supposed to come out.
Inception will return to theaters on August 21st.
Yeah.
Which probably is not happening anymore, but one can hope.
Yeah. One could only hope.
Yes. What a cast too, right?
Yeah.
Like
No, the cast.
the cast for. I mean, let me just look it up because I don't have it off the top of my head.
I heard
their
something
names
like,
off the top of my head.
No, yeah, I was gonna say that I heard like Christian Bale was in talks to play Leo DiCaprio's character.
Which would have been just too many Nolan movies.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
You got DiCaprio, JGL, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, Michael Caine. Although I don't know if Michael Caine really.
Just like he was in it for like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, he's a cameo.
Tom Hardy.
Michael Caine is the
Oh, you're thinking about Spider-Man or you're thinking about the dude from like the Spider-Man movies and Sam Raimi from. Sorry, help us out here. We're struggling.
What?
Who are you talking about?
No.
I was thinking of
Michael Caine is Alfred.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Alfred.
I thought you were saying like Michael Caine is like the actor from Evil Dead and Sam Raimi.
I was saying it's like Michael Caine is the why do I keep losing all of these famous directors who cameo in their own movies right before I'm about to say their name?
Spike Lee. I don't know. Spike Lee cameo.
Jon Favreau.
No.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Yeah, just all of these famous directors who cast themselves in a minor role for their own movie.
It would have been fun.
He's that up for Nolan.
Yep.
Does M. Night Shyamalan have a cameo in The Happening?
Probably.
I don't know.
Okay,
I've never been able to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Anyway, that's off topic. And then, so really briefly, I'm actually not going to mention the last film. This is my last film. You Were Never Really Here. Joaquin Phoenix. I think I've talked about this movie a while ago, a really long time ago. But I rewatched it recently, and Joaquin Phoenix's career is very fascinating because, I mean, he had like the early half of his career where he does things like Gladiator. I think he plays Elvis at a certain point in one movie. But then the 2010s come and he's in films like The Master. He's in films like You Were Never Really Here, and you could kind of like see it, you're just like this. Like back then, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. The Joker was like perfectly casted, and you could see him like kind of like his characters in The Master and in this film. You're just like this dude could play the Joker. He's but like and that's just it's just a testament to how good of an actor he is, because he completely transforms himself in this film. He's like he puts on some weight. He Not to spoil it again, but it's a very phenomenal film. He puts on some weight. He has like a body transformation. He looks completely different. But you could definitely tell that he's definitely like Joker-esque. He could so like yeah, that would be it would have been cool to like I don't know if anyone's ever really guessed that before Joker came out that Joker was or that Joaquin Phoenix would play a good Joker, but I would have definitely been one of those people. But yeah, it's a really great film. More of an our house film, but it's pretty brutal too. It's kind of gory at some points.
Okay.
But so it's not for Azra. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. Sorry, it took too much.
No, it's all good.
No, all good. All right.
Yeah.
Sawyer, give us that
Okay.
you got that quick rundown on your
Yeah.
letterbox, is that it?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and then yeah.
ironically, as a complete counter, despite being a film student, my my recent watch list is anything but a film student's watch list. So we'll start off with now a couple of these were a little while ago since I haven't really talked about a whole lot of movies on here recently due to the Xbox showcase and all that.
Right.
But a couple of the ones just speed running here. I'll go from most recent watch to the last podcast. I rewatched Hancock with Will Smith. That's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yo, there's some
But
I
sequences in
haven't
that movie
seen
that
it
made
in
me.
a while.
Yeah, there's some sequences. I was gonna say there's some sequences in that movie that made me like flat out laugh. It was, I mean, it is a fun movie. It's a fun movie, but
Yeah.
I mean, I actually shouldn't really say much about it because I haven't seen all of it. But
Right.
I think I thought it was fun. I think Will Smith is I think the cast is great. It still holds up for the most part. I think it's really a movie that was ahead of its time. I think my only issue with it is I think narratively it loses a lot of its focus in the second half. I don't really want to go into spoilers, but without spoilers, in the first half, it's much more focused on like what the trailers tell you of it being
Right.
about Hancock repairing his public image, and the second
Oh
half
yeah.
really deviates away from that into almost a completely different story,
Right.
and
Hancock
it's
is
kind of jarring.
Hancock has kind of an identity issue from a movie perspective. Like it wants to be kind of this deconstruction while also actually being like a kind of major superhero flick.
Yeah,
And
Right.
I really like Hancock, but I don't think the third act is like spectacular.
it's almost jarring.
Um,
It's like you go from like watching the first two acts of Deadpool, but then watch the third act of Man of Steel, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened?" Like
what
it's
happened
almost
here?
like that jarring.
Yeah,
That's a good description right there.
Yeah, that was one. I also watched another one with a stellar cast is Life. Came out in 2017. Did
oh,
you
I
guys
saw
ever
that.
see that one?
Yep, I've seen
Yeah,
that. With the Ryan Reynolds and
Ryan
who
Reynolds,
would
Jake
no.
Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh,
Yep, yeah,
yeah, I never
I
saw
can't
it,
say
yeah.
but
I've seen it.
There's
Um,
sorry, here good.
I was just gonna say it's basically a blatant ripoff of Alien.
Yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, that's it, exactly.
That's
I remember it being fun for some sequences. Some things definitely catch me off guard or caught me off guard. Like I wasn't expecting some things to happen, and they did. It kind of went for a 180. Some sequences, but yeah.
Yeah, there was that. I thought it was good. Cast was great, but lacked some of the originality I was hoping for. And I saw the ending coming a mile away.
Wait, what was this again?
Oh, I thought the cast was good, but I
Oh,
saw the ending coming a
sorry.
mile away.
You're still talking about yeah. Sorry,
Yeah, like
I thought you moved on. No,
oh,
but I also saw that ending. That was pretty predictable.
yeah. Next one. This is a relatively recent release, which is rare these days. Was Netflix's The Old Guard,
Oh yeah.
starring
Oh
Charlize
yeah,
Theron.
that movie. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
That
I
one came
haven't
out
seen it.
extremely violent, but it is
recently.
a really good time.
Yeah, yeah. That one came out like
I would say it came out like 2 weeks ago.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I enjoyed it. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's kind of dumb, but it takes itself very seriously, which kind of adds to its charm. Likable characters. I didn't really know almost anything about it going in. I just heard that it was pretty good and had some cool action set pieces. So I was like, okay. I think what would be coolest is, as from what I've heard from a lot of people, go into this movie without watching any trailers, reading any synopsis or anything. Just go in not expecting anything other than it being a cool action movie, and
Mhm.
you'll actually
Okay.
be in for some cool surprises if you don't go in. Because if
Huh.
you read some of the surprises are spoiled if you read a plot synopsis or look at a trailer. Just
Right.
go in
Okay.
completely blind to this movie,
Okay.
and you'll be very surprised.
Um, Old Guard. Yeah, I was gonna say Charlize Theron. I mean, it does it seem like it's because like she's come out with like recently like action, just like very kind of like I mean,
Lots of action stuff.
lots of action films.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Atomic Blonde. She came out with I think
Yeah.
another thing.
She's
But
great, and there's also some other surprising casting here. Like I didn't know Chiwetel Ejiofor was in it. I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I love the dude,
Yeah.
and I didn't know he was in the movie until I
yeah,
turned it on.
the
Um,
now that I
yeah, there's. Go
sorry,
ahead.
you're good.
Yeah,
And I was gonna say that the synopsis like it sounds interesting. Like it's a sci-fi film.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah I'd be interested to check that out. Definitely.
It's I
Yeah.
definitely recommend it. It's clearly based on a graphic novel. When I watched it, I didn't know that, but then I looked it up. I was like, yeah, this has got to be based on a graphic novel,
Mhm.
and it was. A couple other ones. I can speed through a couple of these. Salt with Angelina Jolie. That's on the flip side of a movie like Life. Is a movie like Salt where did not expect at all what I was getting into.
It was
I
just the first
expecting
time.
it to be a standard kind of like espionage movie of, oh
Mhm.
well, someone's framed and we've gotta clear her name. This movie is not at all what I expected, and I was pleasantly surprised,
Okay. High
I will
but
say
praise.
that
also kind of jarred.
yeah. This was your first time watching Salt, right?
Yeah,
I will say Salt's kind of like a guilt. Like I kind of liked it when it first came out. I know it doesn't hasn't really gotten the best reviews, but I liked Angela Jolie's performance in that. But also like I got pleasantly surprised when I first saw it.
Air Force One, Harrison Ford. I had seen most of it before, but I finally saw it all the way through. That movie is a really fun time with some great '90s action. That's really all I have to say about it.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
I recently, this was also on my vacation that I did a safe, socially distant vacation. I should clarify. Um, we also watched the 4 Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies.
Ooh.
Mm.
Um, they start off. I can tell you guys' opinions on that with ooh.
No, I haven't
Oh.
seen them.
uh,
That's why I'm curious.
yeah, I've seen them. I had seen them all before, but the rest of my family hadn't, so we watched them. It was cool to refresh my memory on them. I think Pierce Brosnan is an underrated Bond. I think
Mhm.
Goldeneye is great. I do think, unfortunately, though, the quality of the scripts depreciate as you go on.
Yeah.
Um, I think he is consistently great as Bond his entire run, but I think
Yeah.
in typical James Bond fashion, especially if you go and look back at the other actors, they start off grounded and realistic and have these
Mhm.
interesting character moments. But by the time you get to the end of a specific actor's run, it gets ridiculous and campy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Pierce Brosnan ones, kind of started at least with GoldenEye of they acknowledged the campiness and there were some funny one-liners, but it also looked and felt like it took place in a real world. By the
Right.
time you get to Die Another Day, that is not the case. I don't think Die Another Day is the worst movie of all time. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's got some cool sequences. I think Brosnan's great. Like people, I think unfairly hate on the post GoldenEye Brosnan films as just being utter garbage. But if you
Mhm.
go in expecting that you're just going to be a fun, like semi cheesy '90s action movie with a good lead actor, you'll have a good time. I think don't go in expecting, the Daniel Craig Bond movies because they're nothing like them. But if you think of them as their own thing, they're a good time.
Yeah, the CGI.
Yeah, oh yeah, the CGI is horrendous, but that's a whole other issue. Then I watched the 2010s versions of Clash and Wrath of the Titans.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a
Okay,
throwback.
I will say these movies I wrote or actually I was not provoked but basically brought into doing an entire review of them on Letterboxd on my account because I had a lot to say about them. So basically I'll say just look up my name on or actually I'm probably the most recent review on any of those movies. So if you look the movie up on Letterboxd, I'm sure you'll find my review. But um basically, I think in short, my opinions are these movies have great, amazing production values. They
Mhm.
look great. The special effects are great. The sound design is great. The set pieces, the costuming, all of it is great. But it
Mhm.
does not have a script to match,
Yeah.
and that's the unfortunate
I
side
would
effect.
say especially Wrath.
Yeah, it's got great cast. Both of them have great cast. Everything across the board in these movies is on point, aside from the script. That's
You
Yeah.
the
know,
only thing that's not there.
it's
Um,
funny. I recently rewatched that a year ago to this day.
wow.
Not to this day, but within
Spooky.
this week because I was
Oh.
on vacation during this week and I saw it on TV and I had 2 hours to spare and I was like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Release the clock. Oh, sorry.
no, it's true. I was like, oh man, Wrath. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I mean, I think I turned my brain off and watched them and enjoyed the set pieces because I like mythology. But yeah, these movies couldn't have been so more if they just put as much effort into the script as they did everything else.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
I also let's see what else did I have on here. Real quick through, I watched the entirety of the DC animated movie universe.
Oh wow.
I should
Nice.
clarify that this is separate from the DC animated universe that includes Batman the animated series and all the other late '90s DC stuff.
Yeah.
These are the
So like,
interconnected movie universe that DC started with
Mhm.
the Point Paradox movie in 2015.
which
That
is
is.
cool.
So
That's
I
awesome.
haven't seen them all, but quickly, what did you think of Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay?
Okay, so well, I'll quickly get to Hell to Pay,
Oh,
but
oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
just
if you were running them down.
I'm
My
just gonna
bad.
just go basically on based on stars and got my letterbox here.
All good.
Most of them all got 3 stars for me. I thought Flashpoint Paradox is the best one. Justice League War is pretty good.
Mhm.
Son of Batman, Damian Wayne is kind of unlikable, but he grows on you as time goes on, at least in my
Yeah.
opinion. Um, Justice League Throne of Atlantis was cool to have Matt Lanter as the voice of Aquaman. You would know him as
Yep.
Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. So
Oh,
when I
okay.
heard Aquaman speak, I was like, "Wait a minute, is that Anakin?" Yeah.
Annie?
Annie. Then I got to Batman versus Robin, which I think that movie has a problem that is indicative of most of the problems that the DC animated universe is. They're pretty good movies, but have horrendous titles.
Ah,
Batman versus Robin is such a dumb title and
Mhm.
has really nothing to do with the actual core plot of the movie. But
It's frustrating how backwards Batman versus Robin really is. Because
yeah,
like It's
It has-
fine, but
It's like calling Batman versus Superman Batman versus Superman. That's a
Yeah.
thing that happens, but that's not the core
Right.
plot of
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Batman Bad Blood was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, that movie was pretty bad. Justice League versus Teen Titans, again, dumb title, but a pretty cool plot.
I saw
Justice
that.
League
Yeah.
Dark, I really liked Justice League Dark. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did.
Hold on a second. I think I may have seen that. Sorry, you did.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
that
for
one
those
yet.
of you who don't know, Justice League Dark is one of the only R-rated
Yep.
DC animated movies. And
Oh, I've seen
it's-
that. That one kind of scarred me.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I
Um,
was. I guess I was older, but I wasn't expecting it to be that dark.
Yeah. I mean, for hearing the name Justice League, you wouldn't go in expecting it. But
Right.
really, it's the core team is Constantine, Zatanna,
Mhm.
Swamp Thing, Deadman. Like, Batman's really the only recognizable to most general audiences character in
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and it was a nice, refreshing movie after coming off of a string of mostly just solo Batman movies and Teen Titans and all that.
Mhm.
Right.
Order, but then Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay. Actually, really liked it.
Me too.
Yeah,
I
like it's so much better than the live action movie.
oh yeah, and it's indirectly a sequel to Flashpoint Paradox, which I.
Huh.
Oh wait, is that this? That's a spoiler, isn't it?
I mean, isn't
Oh,
it all a
vaguely,
sequel to
I-
Flashpoint Paradox?
I won't go into as
Yeah.
to why, but there's Flashpoint repercussions.
Yeah,
Huh.
Okay.
like the way they play with time is really
it's
neat.
it's pretty cool, and
Okay.
it I really enjoyed watching that movie. I obviously haven't seen all of the DC animated movies yet. I plan on it with my HBO Max subscription, but in the meantime, there is a couple that I have seen, and it's that one Flashpoint, and I'm sure you'll list off the other ones later.
The rest,
I've
yeah.
seen Justice League War as well.
I think with Suicide Squad, I think it's Hell to Pay was a really great take on the Suicide Squad and
Mhm.
understands who those characters are. It's not super dark and brooding
Yep.
like the David Ayer one. It takes itself seriously, but it also pokes fun at the fact that it is a dumb premise. It very much feels very Grindhouse.
Mhm.
Like, did you guys ever see the Grindhouse movie that Tarantino and
Yep,
Robert Rodriguez?
yep.
Yeah, it's very much feels like that.
Huh.
Okay.
That may be something I'm into.
For anybody who was disappointed by the 2016 Suicide Squad movie, check this one out
Yeah.
because it's much better. I would say watch the Flashpoint Paradox first.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's your prereq.
yeah. Then I think I watched The Death and Return of Superman after that. So I should clarify the version I watched. I bought the special edition. The Death and Return of Superman is a long, extended supercut that cuts together the death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen into one long 3-hour movie.
Huh.
It is pretty much the definitive take on the story. It really understands who Superman is as a character, aside from a couple quirks here and there. Within the context of the DC animated movie universe, that's a mouthful of a title, but within the context of this universe, there's a couple things without spoilers that are kind of jarring if you're going off of how Clark's character development has gone from Justice League War all the way to this movie. So they kind of just take some plot points they had started in previous ones and kind of swipe them under the rug so they can get to where they need to be for this movie. But get adjusted to that. It's great. A lot of likable characters. I also think they really handled Lois Lane really well. She's probably one of my favorite incarnations of that character. Then there
Okay.
was Constantine, City of Demons. And that, again, pretty dark, pretty messed up, but I love Constantine, and it's actually Matt Ryan as the voice,
Ooh.
so that was plus. Um,
Nice.
Batman Hush. Batman Hush was cool. I like the general plot. They changed the core ending of the story from the comic, so I wasn't thrilled about, but it was still a good story regardless. Wonder Woman Bloodlines was just, I mean, I kind of was a little bit bored by it simply just based on the fact that it's another version of Wonder Woman's story. It's just
Mhm.
slightly different. It's still Steve Trevor arrives in Themyscira and Diana decides to save the world. It's the same thing, but and a pretty neat animation, and Diana's cool, so that was a plus.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then the last two of the DC universe were Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, which was
Mhm.
great.
Oh yeah.
Starfire and Nightwing, love those two.
Oh
And
yeah.
Raven's cool too.
That's the other one I've seen, and I I watched both Suicide Squad and Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, all in one night, and I was very happy. I was very
Oh
happy.
yeah, it was great. And then the
Sounds like I
finale,
need to
which
watch the Teen Titans movies.
Oh yeah.
yeah, they and the last one that they ended with that came out this year in May was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War,
Mhm.
which again, I don't know why it's called a Justice League Dark movie because it's really just a team up of everybody. It's basically just DC's Infinity War and Endgame for this
Right.
universe. They bring it basically culminates this entire DC animated movie universe and brings it to a head. They make some bold choices that I did not expect them to do. And I think the ending is a great it's a great way to wrap up a universe that was started with Flashpoint. I'll just say
Mm.
that.
Okay.
It ends in a way that honors and respects what came before it and also leaves the door open for many interesting ways to go. And then these were not part of the DC animated movie universe, but I did watch them recently and they're still DC animated,
Mhm.
where Justice League Crisis on Two Earths and Justice League Doom and Superman and Batman Public Enemies. Uh, they are pretty average to me. They were a fun time. Specifically, I think Doom was the highlight because it goes a lot
Mhm.
more into Batman's relationship with the rest of the Justice League. Um, but it is pretty for me to have only watched these movies this past week, and I'm struggling to recall the plots of everything except for Doom. So that's not exactly high praise. That I can't really remember what happened in Crisis on Two Earths, and I only watched it 2 days ago. So,
Yeah.
That's
uh,
unfortunate.
I remember there was an evil version of Batman called Owlman, and I remember that Superman's alter ego was Ultraman, and having to slightly laugh at the fact that no, this isn't Superman, this is Ultraman, and
I
like,
think I've seen
Ultraman.
oh, okay,
uh-huh.
well,
He's
that pretty
not
much,
super powerful. He's ultra powerful.
and he's from another Earth, and I was like,
Yeah.
how many
That's
times have
so.
comics pulled this exact same story? But yeah, I would say wrapping it up, for anybody who is interested in the DC universe, I say go for it. Most of the DC animated movies are one-offs. Aside from, if you just look up the DC animated movie universe, there is a specific list of the ones that are part of that. Every other DC movie that is not listed there is standalone. Um, I recommend them. Most of them are pretty standalone. Aside from anything that has Batman, I would recommend you do in order because his character development will cross over. But stuff like Constantine City of Demons, you could do standalone. Same with, I guess, after you've seen Flashpoint, you could pretty much do Suicide Squad standalone too.
For anybody who wants a list, this is the one that Wikipedia has. Uh, this is in order of release, at least. Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League War, Son of Batman, Justice League: Throne of Atlantis, Batman vs. Robin, Batman: Bad Blood, Justice League vs. Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, The Death of Superman, Constantine: City of Demons, the movie. So that's a title. Reign of the Supermen, Batman: Hush, Wonder Woman: Bloodlines, and Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War.
You got him.
So
Yup.
that's all of the ones in universe. So
And
Cool.
I think most of them are on HBO Max, but I could be wrong. But I think most
Yeah,
of them are
I
on
think-
there.
I think
yeah.
I think all of them, but maybe if it still applies, all of them, but Teen Titans and Suicide Squad, which can be found on Hulu.
And I don't think
Unless it got
Apocalypse
bad.
War is on there
Yeah.
because that just came out.
Right. So
Yeah.
unless it's off Hulu now, then it's more than likely on HBO Max.
Okay. Awesome. All
Yup.
right.
Yeah, I will. I'll save Assassin's Creed 3 for next week since we're pressed for time.
Yes. All right. I'm going to quickly, or maybe not so quickly, depending on how much sleep I lost last night. I'm going to quickly talk about a couple of games that I've finished since the last time I talked about a video game on this podcast, unless I'm missing something, which I very well could be. So I think you all can remember that I rated Persona 5, which was my first Persona game. One of my favorite games of the generation of the decade. And
Wow.
I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Royal. It's even better than the original Persona 5. And that's spectacular. But I also got my hands on both Persona 3 Fez, which is basically the equivalent of Persona 5 Royal, and Persona 4 Golden. And so I played through and beat the main campaigns of both of those. So Persona 3 Fez, I had an interesting experience with because I started playing it on my PS2, and then I found a way to start emulating my PS2 games onto my PC. So that's what I was doing. So I had kind of an interesting transition into the game becoming a lot better, in my opinion. So Persona 3 Fez, I think is really good. It probably has my favorite soundtrack of the franchise, which is saying something because the three Persona games I've played all have really stellar soundtracks. Persona 3 Fez comes with 2 campaigns. The Journey, which is the main Persona sort of style of gameplay, where you have the daytime / sort of in real world gameplay that's like relationship building, and it's you could call it a quote unquote dating sim, even though that's not. It's more of a life sim than a dating sim, strictly speaking, at least. And then you have the nighttime stuff, which is like your traditional JRPG systems and dungeon crawling. And the biggest limitation that Persona 3 Fez, the Journey, and then the other campaign is The Answer, which I didn't play. I just watched the cutscenes for because I played through the first I beat like the first boss fight and then got through the second part of the dungeon or whatever and just like noped out of there. Too hard for me. And that campaign cuts down basically everything about the journey and is just the combat stuff. So if that's what you're into, go for it.
I'm trying to look up some.
So Huh?
So I was trying to look up some gameplay. I think some of my
Oh
audio
yeah.
came through. Sorry.
So the main drawback of Persona 3 Fez is that it's old enough that you cannot directly control your party members. And but if you emulate it, you can cheat it so that you can have your controllable party members, which is a lot more fun, I have to say, than having to sort of rely on the party members doing what they tell you to do. Because I come from Kingdom Hearts, where Donald, man, just never heal
Thunder.
you.
Huh.
Just the
Um,
thunder spam
Huh.
with no
don't
heal.
Huh.
give up. Um, and but aside from that, and then I think the other drawback is that unlike Persona 5, which has a number of palaces, a number of dungeons, and then like one main dungeon that you kind of progress through as the game goes on. The entire game is just one dungeon that is the same up and down, and is and can get pretty repetitive, which is it's fine if you're willing to go through that. I certainly was, and I really like Persona's battle system of sort of knocking down the enemy and then getting an extra turn and doing whatever you want with that turn. I really like that. So Persona 3's combat never really felt like it got old to me. So I think Persona 3's strength really lies in its themes and in its storytelling, because I don't think it's been at least a very long time since I played a game that so cohesively had thematic uh had just like great thematic elements that tied in really well with the plot, and just really sort of again, from a narrative standpoint, it's really cohesive and really impressive in that way. And I would say it's worth experiencing for the story alone, which is why I would recommend just go watch the movies. If all you're there for is the story, then apparently the movies do enough justice to the story uh, to warrant a watch. So I would recommend that. The game, I think, I keep thinking about this. The game very much appeals to me on a kind of personal level, because not only is it kind of like a fun anime, like I don't want to call it a romp, but it's very much in that style. Not only is it that, but it is edgy as all get out. And I don't want to say I want people to like see for themselves how edgy this game is. So like I'm not gonna say why, even though this is like a 17-year-old game at this point.
Wow.
But it is so edgy, and uh in like a very early 2000s way as well. Like it's very uh it hits all of those like early 2000s kid sensibilities that are in my brain, that like the part of me that like really loves Shadow the Hedgehog for being so edgy is the same part of me that like Persona 3 appeals to. and so I recommend at least Persona 3 Fez the Journey for that. There's also a PSP version which has controllable party members and a female protagonist, but doesn't have the answer, so you could do that if you want to. again, highly recommended for the story alone. I think it's really solid and like a really neat take on that kind of theme. And then Persona 4 Golden is I think Persona 4 Golden is sort of an encapsulation of the idea that like sometimes you can just watch franchises grow from like a gameplay and systems perspective. I'll say it probably has the weakest plot of the Persona games that I've played, and the weakest soundtrack, which is not to say it has a bad soundtrack. It just has fewer songs that stand out. Which again, it's not bad. It's just that's just kind of how it is. But what it loses in like overall plot and soundtrack, it more than makes up for in a really really solid cast. Like the cast in Persona 4 is like super well rounded. Wouldn't change anything about it. Super good. And then it also makes up for it in the gameplay because it it carries over the same systems from Persona 3, but it streamlines a lot of them. It makes it sort of not easier, but it all sort of makes a lot more sense I think than Persona 3 has a problem where it like where it all like it Persona 3 Fez has this weird like exhaustion system where you can't go through a dungeon without for too long without getting tired, and then you have to go home and come back, and like that's done away with in Persona 4. What else? I mean that I guess that's kind of the main point, the main one. And like the general dungeon crawling is really improved. So like the area, the floors themselves in all of the dungeon, there for one thing, there are multiple dungeons, which is which is nice. And then the areas themselves in the dungeons are bigger, and then you cut down the amount of floors, which makes it so that like you're not chasing the next staircase as often. Like you don't, because in Persona 3 there will be a lot of floors where you just like appear next to a staircase and you're like, am I really gonna like go and do the right thing and grind for a second and then go up the staircase? No, I'm gonna go up the staircase because why wouldn't I? Persona 4 just sort of fucks that entirely and doesn't and you don't just sort of spawn next to the stairs and go up the stairs and then go about your day. You actually have some real what feels like some real dungeon crawling to do, which is nice. Some of the dungeons want a guide for some of them, but the dungeons later on are neat. Not as good as Persona 5's dungeons, but still really good. The controllable party members is a plus. And I think Persona 4 also with like the idea of having multiple personas and fusing them together, which was in Persona 3 but not as well polished, did really sort of come into its own with Persona 4 Golden. I think the I will say the worst thing I think about Persona 4 Golden is not that it has multiple endings,
Mm-hmm.
but that it's hard. It's like you have to be very specific if you want to get the true ending. And that
Oh.
and that is like in a game like I was glad that I was like looking up guides and stuff because I
Mhm.
was just like I'm not I'm probably not doing a second playthrough of this because I got to do like my third and fourth playthroughs of Persona
Right.
5 Royal. Uh, and so I was like, look, I at least just want to get the true ending, and like I wanna see basically everything that the main plot has to offer me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was glad because I was like, oh okay, I need to like do this and that, and I need to like make sure I have to make sure I like talk to this person on this day, and I need to like max out this social link and all of that stuff. Um, which which is good. But yeah, you need to you do if you do play this game, you should have a guide next to you just just to make sure that you know what to do in order to get the all of the good and all of the true endings because there are like two different true endings that are not are not mutually inclusive. So like if you get one, you don't necessarily get the other, which is frustrating, but that's just kind of how it is. But overall, Persona 4 Golden really solid. Characters are really good. I was crying at the end because I was like, man, I really like these characters. And then I had uh, the effective sequel in the Persona 4 Arena games, which is cool.
It's
But
always a good thing
um,
when something makes you cry. I mean,
yes,
like
solid.
like yeah, it sucks. It sucks, that it's over, but it's just
Yeah,
a sentiment.
yeah. Well, and I got that after watching Persona 3 The Answer as well. Like I didn't play it. I didn't play it all the way through at least, but I got to the end of that and like the music and everything got me crying, and then I was crying at the end of Persona 5 Royal, and I was like, I kind of I kind of like this series. Persona thing is pretty cool. Yeah, no, I would if you have a gaming PC, Persona 4 Golden is $25.
It's
Best
not bad.
money you'll spend for that price.
Is that on
It's
Steam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's on Steam. Is it on not Windows?
On
Uh
not window.
well, because that's the question that's the question we got to answer for Ahmad here.
Oh,
Store page. Here we go. Uh,
I forgot.
is this not?
Yeah, no, I was super upset I
Is
couldn't
this
play
not? Is it? Can I not? Uh, yeah, nothing about a Mac version, which is unfortunate. But
Man, what did I pay all this money for? I can't play Alan Wake. I can't play this, and I have
you can't play a port of a Vita game.
for trying.
Uh,
I just
but
bought a
y- but
PS4. I mean, yeah, no, you're good.
um, but if you
You there?
probably do because again, it's a port of a Vita game, and you can lower the settings and stuff so that it'll run better on a lower end machine. You know, really good for $24. I would say it's worth it at like $40. I wouldn't pay a full 60 for an 8-year-old game, but even at $40, I would say it's worth it because even just my first playthrough was a 44-hour time sink, and yeah, like that was just like scratching the surface of what I could do. Like I didn't even do everything that there was to do in the game. Ahmad, did you say you have a PS4?
No, I was
Oh,
joking.
okay.
I was like,
Oh, okay.
if
Okay.
only I could had it on a PS4.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
right
I would,
now,
I would buy. I was considering buying just a gaming laptop. Just to.
Oh,
But
sure, yeah.
like I said, I don't. One of these days, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna actually start to get back to gaming, and then I'm gonna talk about a game on the podcast. Oh, that's all. That's not we esports or not we sports resort or something. Something like something more recent.
Yeah.
One of these days.
One of these days.
I let you guys
But
down.
if you do have a PS4,
Well, actually, I do have a. Sorry. I don't personally own one, but I do have one downstairs. Like downstairs, one of the roommates owns it.
okay.
So
So
that's
if
actually
you,
that's
if
actually
you have a PS4 and you're willing to commit to a 100-hour game, Persona 5 Royal, better than like the final section of that game is better than like most JRPGs I've ever played, and like better than most games I've ever played. I would say, which is like it's
right.
it's
Okay.
some of the most like genius sort of turning the plot on its head while still maintaining its thematic core is really good. But anyways, I'll shut up. I took too long on Persona.
It's all
Caleb,
good.
we've been wanting to talk about this topic for a while,
Yep.
so I think we should get to it.
I agree.
We'll have to, unfortunately, we'll have to put your other topic on hold.
That's
But
fine
do you
with
want
me.
to give us what the topic is, what your topic for this week is?
All right. So this actually would have been even greater of a topic if we got more today, but we didn't. But it's fine. It's fine.
It's true.
I really thought we would get something today, but it's fine.
It's weird that we didn't.
Yeah.
I think.
But I think it was like a week after the PS5 reveal
Yeah.
event.
It was the week that like E3 would have been, where we just got like all of the game announcements.
Yep. It was, and it was like I got a notification, actually a bunch of notifications, of a Kingdom Hearts 2020 trailer, and I'm like, 2020? Oh no! Please tell me we're not doing like these like year names now. I was like, this is not the magic. And then I realized, oh, this is kind of like a 2020 showcase. And in this, it revealed everything that was going to come out this year for the rest of the year for the franchise. And it
Which is basically just an addition to the mobile game, and then
Yep, it was in addition to the mobile game. They announced the soundtrack for Kingdom Hearts 3, which
oh, that's
I
right,
am
yeah.
super happy about. Ezra can
Yes.
attest to this because the million messages of me freaking out on this the details, the 8 CD details of the soundtrack.
Yes. So many CDs.
The but and then lastly, and honestly, this 2020 trailer was actually meant to release back in April, but was scrapped. But if it wasn't for, honestly, I really do think if it wasn't for uh, it getting leaked, the Melody of Memory title getting leaked off of source coding on one of the websites, um, we would not. It was of a PNG image of the title, but
Yeah.
the immediately within like a day they released this 2020 trailer because they were like, "Oh, we got to, you know what I mean?
We got to do it.
Yep, we got
Although
to do it."
they probably didn't release it for Damage Control. That was
Right.
probably the day it was planned to be released. But yeah, still, it was kind of funny timing.
Right. Well, it was like, and for a good day or two, we're all speculating Melody of Memory. Could this be like a rhythm game? Like, there's no way. There's no way they could do that.
I remember texting you the intro to Persona 5
Yep.
Dancing and being like, "Look, what if we got this but with Kingdom Hearts?"
I said I was totally on board. Like,
and I was like, that's not what I would want, but
right.
I could get into it.
But then we also looked at like the initials, which is actually the
Yeah.
same initials of a very mysterious character that we still don't know the identity of. So we're like, oh, maybe this isn't a rhythm game, but I think it's both. But we'll get into that.
Yes, we will get into that.
But so the trailer releases and it's like the first Kingdom Hearts rhythm action game, and you see a typical rhythm gameplay going on, and you're like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I could
All right.
I could do.
You can get. I'll
get
pay
behind this.
I'll pay $40 for this. Sure, why not?
There was like a brief second of me like thinking that possibly this could be a mobile game, because honestly it could work as a mobile game.
Yeah.
Until you get to the end.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, the title is shown, and then in typical Kingdom Hearts crazy fashion, we get a whole secret ending to the trailer.
In the trailer.
And the final minute of that trailer is just all story content. And
it's all story content in Kingdom Hearts 3's engine.
Yes.
Which is kind of wild.
And it's,
yeah.
And you're like, whoa, hold up. And then you realize that it's theoretically shining the spotlight. We're getting something on a certain character's backstory that has been there since the beginning, that we're finally getting an answer to, at least some light on it.
Yeah.
Because
well, and it's
I don't think with Kingdom Hearts you can ever get a full answer on something.
Yeah.
But I think you can get some more backstory, and I'm really excited that we're getting a some form of making Kairi the main protagonist after.
Yes. Although I want a proper game.
Yes, I would agree.
Let's I want an action RPG with Kairi. That's what I'll take a Kairi Riku game, but that's a whole nother discussion. I just wanted to say I think it's really cool that we're getting a rhythm game, because Kingdom Hearts has a legendary soundtrack.
Oh yes. Honestly, if you've never seen the series, or just if you don't want to play the series, I would give the soundtrack at least a check out, because it's really good. And
I would argue that part of the reason the series is still talked about is because the soundtrack is so revered among the gaming community. Like, people talk bad about gameplay and the story or whatever, but like, you say a bad thing about Kingdom Hearts soundtrack and you have the entire universe just collapse in on you.
It's true.
It's true.
And it's the first Switch title. And that's pretty awesome.
It's cool. I'll take it.
Multiple reasons. One being that this definitely seems like a type of game that I see myself playing on the Switch. and it almost feels like that this game was developed for the Switch, but also is playable on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
But what is cool about it is that it's also the first full-on. We've had multiplayer in the games before, but this is the first full-on, like, you can actually co-op this game and experience the story with more than one
Yes.
person. And I think that's really
This is
neat.
perfect for us.
Oh yes, I'm excited to
As long
see
as
what
long as it
happens.
has, is it confirmed to have online?
Yes. Oh, are you talking about like
Let
an
me
online subscription?
remember. No.
Oh,
Like online multiplayer.
yeah, it's online multiplayer.
Okay, good. Yeah.
The
Then
the
we will at least have impressions for you at the same time, if nothing else.
oh yes, the the big question, and this is where the disappointment comes today, is this is coming out in 2020, but we don't
Yep.
know the release date, and it's
We don't
not,
know the release date,
and
and
it's current gen,
yeah,
which go ahead.
which doesn't mean anything anymore
Right.
because Microsoft's been pretty clear that basically every Xbox One
Yep.
game is going to be playable on Series X, and PlayStation's deal is that, like, as of July this year, every game that releases for PS4 afterwards has to be compatible with PS5.
Right.
So, like, I'm not too worried about, like, if I have a PS5
Right.
and you have a PS5 that we won't be able to play the game.
Right.
It is, I will say it's kind of concerning. I'm more concerned about the radio silence, because if this game is going to come out in like October, that gives us 3 months to announce the release date.
Right.
And like, people are making purchasing decisions, like this Christmas is going to be wild. Like, who knows what's going to happen at Christmas time, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is, and
yeah,
I've told you this before, Ezra. It's like the release window as of it's I think now, out of anything, it's late October, because we can't
probably.
honestly have it in the end of September, which was, I was hoping for an early September release, but
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
I think that would have been
That
the
would have
best
happened by now.
place to put it too.
Right. Because the end of September we have the Avengers, and same developing company.
Actually, no, that's early September. I was wrong. Late September, I think, would have been better for Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, just because it's like,
Wait, when does the Avengers
it's
come
not
out?
September 6th.
Oh,
Something
some odd
like
reason
that.
I was thinking I thought the 26th. So I was thinking the other way around. So that makes, honestly, that makes any time in October actually really possible. And
Yeah.
Same thing is October or November. Theoretically, if this game never gets delayed, it's October and November. But and even though Square's had a track record of literally delaying most, if not all, their games of recent, uh, the this doesn't seem like a type of game, because it's a rhythm game, that would be delayed unless.
Well, and it's been in development since last year.
Right. Yeah.
Which probably means, and to be fair, the way that rhythm games work, by my limited understanding of game knowledge, so take this with a grain of salt. The way that rhythm games tend to work is that, like, you build up like the system of like the scoring and the way that it works, and then like after that you just make maps out of the rhythm game. So it's not like it's not too hard to make and like they're using a ton of reused assets and stuff, and like yeah, I wouldn't worry.
Yeah.
I think that like if this game gets delayed, it's not because of development troubles, it's because they don't want to send it out to die.
Well, actually, I think that's a possibility, and maybe the voice acting, because obviously
Yeah.
we know the Japanese voice actors have already done at least some work on it because we got it in the trailer, but the English voice acting, obviously, they're always later to come anyways. But like during this whole COVID thing, and a lot of the actors being American are definitely under lockdown, and it might prove a complication. It might not.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't. Uh, I'm not under. I don't know what's going on in Square, but I think it's a strong possibility as to even if Japan got the release earlier than like say America. It's just I think it's possible. Is as unfortunate as it sounds. I think that even who knows. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's complicated, but I was hoping we get
it's a weird year.
that. Obviously, we're not going to. Here's the thing: like if at this point the state of play has gone and passed, the Xbox showcase has gone and passed. Essentially,
Yep.
those are the third party showcases, and you have
Rumors of a Nintendo thing in about 5 days have circulated, but
right,
there's no confirmation about
right.
that. Um,
So the next thing we have is TGS, and that's all the way in September.
End of September.
Yeah, end of September. And it's like we said, if this game's coming out in October, it's not coming out in October if we get a trailer
Ooh.
at TGS. You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, here's what I think's gonna happen. I think it releases in December
Okay.
or January because
Because yeah,
because
January
that's
seeming
just kind of how it works at this point.
yeah.
January is going to be the meme, like announced for this year comes out in January.
Anything
Uh,
square related is going to be January.
yeah,
Uh,
March, April,
yeah.
something like that, right? Yeah, like I think it's gonna. I think January is a significant possibility. I also I think that like it is reasonable to say that usually games that usually what happens with games is that they get announced and it takes like a couple of
Right.
months for the next trailer to come out. So like uh it's a different situation because theoretically Melody of Memory is supposed to come out in a couple months,
Right.
but we don't know that, and and it's not unusual for a game to like get announced and them not be like totally sure on the release date yet, and
Right.
then like a couple months later new trailer, like the release date trailer comes out, and it's like they're still well within the time frame that they set for themselves. So like and a lot of games have been basically said we're coming out in 2020 in holiday 2020 because they don't know when the consoles are coming out.
Right.
And so like it's yeah, like I said, I'll keep saying it, it's been a weird year.
Yeah.
I would not expect. I think like this year has taught us all to like if you're expecting something, stop expecting it
Yeah.
because it's not um it's not gonna happen. Like I think the only surefire thing this year was that like Horizon was going to get a sequel. Like yeah, yeah, like whoop-de-doo, of course it was getting a sequel, right? Like I don't think that there's like anything we can predict very easily anymore, which is fine, but it does mean that we have to like I
Right.
think we have to be a little bit more forgiving about
Yep.
this stuff, because it's just like
100%.
like on some level they don't know either. Like
Right.
they're like the fact is uh Smash Brothers was probably supposed to be well into like have like its third of 6 DLC characters by
Right.
now,
And we've only got one.
and we've only gotten one with no hint about who the next one is. Like nothing about any new character since Min Min,
Mhm.
and like and again that's fine, like stuff
Right.
happens, but like if Nintendo isn't just like trucking along, which they usually do, like there's usually like Mario games are gonna come out when Mario games come out. Like it's
Mhm.
like and like stuff like that doesn't really change very often at Nintendo. And so like even if Nintendo doesn't seem to be able to keep the ball rolling because of all these extraneous circumstances, to heck with all the other
Right.
developers at this point.
I will say
So yeah,
another speculation uh that I just remembered. You know, we talked about the soundtrack releasing on it's officially releasing now on November 11th.
yeah.
If we're getting the tracks from if we're getting like tracks from KH3 or Remind, you know, it would kind of make sense that it would come out after that. If that makes sense. Because if that's in the game, you know, um,
Oh, so you're saying like a November 1st release date would make sense because they don't want to like cannibalize the audience
right.
of the game. I could see that. I just think that like I think any time from like mid September to mid December
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh and like and then after that it's really hard to make a prediction because like you know everybody was saying that like oh the game got rated by the SRB, that means that it's going to be
Yeah.
done soon, and like that means it's probably far enough for it
Right.
in development for it to be rated. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's done. So like yeah, we could be all sorts of uh like in all sorts of stages. Like Nomura's probably off drunk somewhere because he, you know, like his life's work is crumbling uh as he watches because of COVID, right? Like
Right.
this is not normal.
Oh
And
no.
uh so yeah, I don't know. I think that like yeah, like I don't think any specific predictions may uh are gonna be like able to hold water because it's just
Mhm.
not. I could say that like any Friday, honestly, any Friday from now until December. I'm already in January 2021. Uh, uh, any Friday from now until like December 27th makes sense as a release date because that's
Mhm.
or wait, are we Friday or are we Tuesday? I don't remember. We're Tuesday. So any Tuesday from now until end of December makes sense. But yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
excited.
Oh yeah. 100%. Like that those final 30 seconds like sold me.
Yeah,
You know, the like I wasn't like I was already
it's
going to get
canon.
it, but like you made it canon and therefore it's
Yeah,
justifiable in on all accounts. So
yeah, it's canon. Yep.
I'm interested to see where they're going. I'm interested.
Definitely.
Um,
All
but,
right.
but that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Exciting stuff. Can't wait to play it. All right. Thanks for listening.
Mhm.
Sawyer, can you hit us with the social media so we can get out of here?
Yeah. So our social media, you can find us at Castkate at CASTCATE on Twitter because of our old handle. But you can find us just by searching for the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. And you can find us at the Lab Rats Podcast on Instagram. And we primarily will tweet out on any information you need to know. Well, I guess obviously through saying tweet on Twitter, and you will get a notification on Twitter every time a new episode goes up. That'll take you straight to the link on Podbean. And speaking of Podbean, you can find this show wherever you're listening now, as well as Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, because there's some weirdness there on how Google Play Music podcast is going to switch over to Podcast Portal. I gotta figure that out.
Mhm.
Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, I think I didn't say yet, and Twitch.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay.
And if you tuned in tonight and you're watching it off of Twitch, I realized about 2 hours into the stream that I forgot to change the title. So
Yes.
it said PS5 reveal instead of
Whoops.
episode 51. But oh well.
Oh well. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I put it on the stream schedule that it would be episode 51. I just forgot to
Mm,
change the stream title
yes.
because, yeah.
Yep.
Because Twitch.
Just happens.
Yep.
Because these things are way more complicated than they need to be.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Alrighty.
thanks for listening. Stay safe. Stay inside.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.